What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So on this Friday, guys, I want to talk about the coaches that are in here, this young nucleus, this young staff, right? I want to talk about looking over the last 2 or 3 years of these guys' coaching experiences, what their offenses have looked like, and formulate for you guys what I think is going to be an early prediction for the identity of this Philadelphia Eagles football team, okay? And then I want to get into this conversation, guys. I want to talk about kind of the elephant in the room here. Is this staff a little too young? Are we missing a very key ingredient? An experienced guy, a Mike McCoy, a Ken Wisenhunt, a Jim Caldwell, a Hugh Jackson, somebody who's not necessarily going to be involved in the scheme. They're not going to necessarily be involved in the day-to-day coaching of the players, but they're there for the guidance aspects of what it's like to be a head coach controlling men for the first time. Let's get into that, guys. Let's have a conversation about all this. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel. Sports Channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Stephen Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, guys, today's topic. We're going to talk about this coaching staff that's been assembled. I'm going to try to talk about how I view the identity of this staff as it all kinds of comes together. Like, what do I see? What are some of the commonalities here? What do I think each guy's role might be? I just want to do a generalization before we head into camp here, before we head into the draft and free agency, so that way there's some clarity. And I can't even touch the defensive side of the ball in this aspect yet because we're still waiting for a lot of hires and a lot of announcements there. But what we can say about the offense side of the ball is it is generally very, very young. It is full of guys that are pretty close in age, guys. I mean, our head coach, Nick Sirianni, he's 39 years old. Our offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, he's 36 years old. Well, he'll be 36 years old by the time the season starts. Our quarterback coach, Brian Johnson, he'll be 34 years old by the time the season starts. Jeff Stoutland is the old man of the group at 58. Jason Michael, he brings a little experience, former head coach or a former offensive coordinator himself. He wasn't very successful, but he's got experience doing it. He's 42 years old. Currently, I still believe we have a vacancy at running back coach. I don't know if they're going to promote Pagnetti or not there. They might promote Pagnetti to that position, TJ Pagnetti. I don't know, guys. We'll have to see. Or they might bring in an outside hire. Wide receiver coach. I'm just going to go with who is currently there, okay? This could change, mind you, but I would say that it seems to be leaning towards Aaron Moorhead being here. Aaron Moorhead is 40 years old. Another young guy, right around the age of the head coach, right? Kevin Patullo, the right-hand man to Nick Sirianni, the passing game coordinator. He's 39. So you got Patullo, you got Moorhead, you got Nick Sirianni, and you got, like, Jason Michael that are all within, like, 3 years of each other, man. I mean, they're definitely very lumped together in the age group here. Then you got Shane Steichen, who's only 36. You got Brian Johnson, that's 34. And then you got Stoutland here, the old wise man, at 58. We're going to have to get into a conversation later in this video, guys, about should there be a veteran presence here. We'll table that conversation until the end. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about scheme, and let's talk about some of the elements of scheme that can be discerned from the information we have in front of us about these coaches, okay? So let's talk about forming an identity. Let's talk about the one thing I noticed that our quarterback coach, Brian Johnson, shared, our offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, shared, and our head coach, Nick Sirianni, shared, all in common. That one element, they want a fast processor at quarterback. They do not want a guy who's holding the ball very long. Case in point, if you go back and you look at the Colts offense from 2018 to 2020, in 2018, Andrew Luck was under center. As that quarterback under center, Andrew Luck had a 2.63 time to throw number, okay? In 2019, Jacoby Brissett was under center. Jacoby Brissett had a 2.93 time to throw. That's not fast. And we all know Jacoby Brissett was not back under center in 2020. They went out and got a veteran, Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, time to throw, 2.52. Nick Sirianni wants a fast processing quarterback. They want to speed things up. If you look at Shane Steichen back in 2019, the first year he took over in October. If you look at Phillip Rivers' numbers, 2.63. Okay, his time to throw was 2.63 seconds in 2019. Now you can say, well, Gate though, but Phillip Rivers is an older, experienced quarterback. He's going to have, a guy 15 plus years in the league. Of course he can process fast. They're not going to hold the ball that long unless guys just simply aren't getting open. I hear you. So let's take a look at what happened in 2020 with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, 2.69 seconds. Okay? We would take all of these numbers. All these numbers beat the 2.9 some seconds that Carson Wentz held the ball last season and the 3.11 seconds that, Jalen Hurts held the ball. We need a faster progression. We need faster progressions from these quarterbacks. We need more in-breaking routes, okay? We need things designed to get the ball to the quarterback's hands. We're not saying they'll never take vertical, chances. They will. But there's got to be balance here. And I think we're going to see a lot more balance. I think, Brian Johnson, I think Shane Steichen, and I think Nick Sirianni all believe in the concept of speeding the quarterback up. That is the one thing I see in common with all these guys. But now I want to get into how each of these guys are going to factor into or bring to the table. What does each of these guys bring to the table about themselves? And I want to get into that. When I look at Nick Sirianni, guys, I see a guy who is all over the place in terms of him and Frank Reich and what they did with these quarterbacks. I mean, you can paint a picture 1,000 different ways by the quarterback you had under center for them. Andrew Luck. When you look at how many times Andrew Luck went under center, it was a lot. Like Andrew Luck went under center like 78 times. It was the most out of any of his quarterbacks, okay? But if you looked at Phillip Rivers, he was only under center like 51 times. That's pretty modest. I would say that it's probably because Phillip Rivers doesn't like being under center as much. Then he got older. He probably doesn't like taking more time than is necessary. And then if you take a look at what they did with Jacoby Brissett, he was under center 72 times, okay? Play action. Well, here's the thing. On play action passes, if you only looked at what happened with Phillip Rivers, like they were pretty high on play action, right? I mean, 86 times. I mean, they ran play action passing. When you looked at Jacoby Brissett, man, they ran play action like 110 times. That's really high. But then when you looked at Andrew Luck, no play action. They didn't throw a single play action pass with Andrew Luck. You look at RPOs, right? 44 for Phillip Rivers. 50 for Brissett. 0 for Andrew Luck. They were like really balanced across the board with Phillip Rivers, right? So they under center 51 times. Play action 86 times. RPOs 44 times. They were heavy involved in those type of schemes when it came to Brissett, right? Brissett under center 72 times. Play action passing 110 times. And then you looked at his RPOs, he was at 50 times. But then you go to Andrew Luck and it's like, well, he was under center a lot at 78, but he didn't do any play action and he didn't do any RPOs. Nick Sirianni is going to play to the scheme and the ability of the players. So he's going to scheme around the players and what they're comfortable with. The only thing we can say for certain is when it comes to time, time in the pocket. He likes to get the quarterback sped up. He wants to get that ball out fast. Time in the pocket for Phillip Rivers. 302 attempts on the year, under 2.5 seconds. 241 attempts, over 2.5 seconds. That is a flow of 61 times he dropped back to pass where he was more sped up than he was in terms of processing deep. That's what you want to see. The other thing about Nick Sirianni is he doesn't play a lot of two-back sets. It's just not his thing. He doesn't play a lot of two-back sets. But when you go to Shane Steichen, there's some difference. Where Nick Sirianni is pretty heavy into two tight ends or multiple tight end formations. Like, if you went with two or more tight ends, Nick Sirianni played it like almost 30% of the time. But when you look at Shane Steichen, it was like 9% of the time he had multiple tight end sets, okay? But he played a little strong on 11-man. He was like 72% 11-man. Nick Sirianni was on like 69%. The one thing he did do that's a little different, and you can see where he's going to bring a wrinkle here, is he played a lot of two-back set, guys. As a matter of fact, he played 19%, almost 20%, with multiple backs. So between 20, 21, and 22-man. 20 being 2 running backs, no tight ends, 3 receivers. 21 man being 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 2 receivers. 22 being 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, 1 receiver. 19% of the time. He likes to play a lot of 2-back set. He's heavy into play action. He loves 127 attempts on the year for Justin Herbert on these play action guys. He loves to put his quarterbacks under center. 138 times where the quarterback was under center. Not a huge RPO guy. 20. What is Shane Steichen going to bring to this offense? 2-back sets. So he's probably going to be the guy that would script and think of 2-back sets. I'm not saying we'll be heavy, 20% 2-back sets, but I do think when we draw up the actual playbook, Shane Steichen's fingers will be all over 2-back sets. Anything we run that has multiple backs in it. When you look at putting guys under center, when you look at guys being in play action passing, Shane Steichen's probably going to take the lead there. This is what he does. This is what he's good at. He's not a big RPO guy. He's probably not going to take the lead in RPO. He'll probably have the input, but I would take a wild guess that your RPO guy is going to be Kevin Patullo, who was known as the RP guy in Indianapolis. My theory is, guys, is we're not going to see nearly as much RPOs under this staff as we saw with Doug. Brian Johnson, guys. Brian Johnson's another key player here. Brian Johnson loves to play matchups. All of these guys are matchup guys. They want to find the best matchup and get the quarterback to recognize the matchup and get the ball in the hands of the player that has that matchup. Hence the reason of scheming things to get open and giving you a really good first look. At worst, a second look. That's what they want. Brian Johnson subscribed to that if you watch his film in Florida. What he was able to do with Pitts, what he was able to do with those running backs, what he was able to do with Tooney, the wide receiver. I thought he did a really good job. He's going to fit this, guys. That's how I see this all coming. But I want to return to one more aspect of this conversation that I alluded to in the very beginning, guys. I'm going to talk about, are we a little too young here? Are we too young? Potentially. Hard to say, guys. I don't know. I mean, look, Jason Michaels got some experience as a coordinator, right? Nick Sirianni's not a youngin'. He's a youngin', but he's not a youngin' in terms of coaching experience. Shane Steichen's been around the league for a while too, even though he's a fairly young guy. Brian Johnson is an up-and-comer. Aaron Moorhead is in his 40s. He's a former player. Jeff Stoutland's almost pushing 60, guys. He's certainly not a spring chicken. He's been around for a while. Kevin Patullo's 39. He's been around for a little while. Do I think we still could use a veteran coach? Yeah, I think it might be a smart idea, at least for the first year, to have someone on the staff that can act as a consultant who can help out Nick Sirianni. This is going to be a massive undertaking this year, guys. I don't even know what we're going to be able to do in terms of personnel, guys. This could be a really hard rebuild this first year. Things are going to get a lot brighter after this 1 year, but this first year might be tough, guys. It might be helpful to have a guy in-house who's gone through this craziness before. Maybe you go to a Ken Wisenhunt. Ken Wisenhunt's been fired. He can give him insights on what it's like to be in these situations. He's not a guy I would want as our head coach, nor would I particularly like him as a coordinator, but he's got value in an advisory role. Mike McCoy, same thing, right? A guy that's kind of got a couple opportunities in this league. At one point in time was kind of deemed as being one of the next offensive minds. He went through the ringer, man, and he has experience, man. Mike McCoy and Nick Sirianni got history. That makes sense. Jim Caldwell is just a good guy to bring in no matter what. I would get on the phone and give Jim Caldwell a call and just see. I don't know if they haven't done that. Maybe they have, but I sure wouldn't mind him being here. Hugh Jackson's another veteran guy. He's worked with quarterbacks. It wouldn't hurt, guys. That's all I'm going to say is it wouldn't hurt. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about our identity? What do you think about the inexperience of the coaching staff? But at the same time, do you think there's some positives to having a young, energetic, and potentially creative coaching staff that, while it may be inexperienced, it's going to make up for it with the enthusiasm it's going to bring to the situation? And then, if you guys want a veteran guy here, who are your names? Am I missing anyone? Did I leave somebody off the list? We're oh, Gabe, what about this guy? Give me your thoughts, guys. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Enjoy y'all's weekend. I will still be bringing you content over the weekend. Don't worry about it. But, hey, until the next video, guys.